Is the Muslim world now uniting to fight against Israel and the United States? This is a question, and I'll play you a video that seeks to answer this question so that you yourself can look at what has been making news across the Muslim community. Then you make your judgment. Just recently, the Jordan representative talked about the fact that the message the Muslim world is now getting, based on the response from the United Nations, is that the lives of Palestinians matter less as compared to the lives of Israelis.
So we begin tonight with some questions. Is the Muslim world finally coming together? Has the Palestinian cause united Islamic nations? Are they looking to join hands against Israel and its backer, the United States? Well, officially, most Islamic countries have refused to get drawn in the war. But the developments on ground in some Islamic nations tell a different story. We'll start with Egypt. Earlier today, there were anti-Israel protests in Egypt. They took place in the country's 9 governorates, as well as in several locations in its capital, Cairo. The demonstrators chanted pro-Palestine slogans and urged their government to take action against Israel. The timing of the protests is striking. They come right after a statement from Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. He recently blamed Israel for the Gaza hospital blast. Observers say the stance is somewhat uncharacteristic for Sisi, given how he's aligned himself with Israel in recent years. Well, that stance seems to be changing now. But the question is, why? Is it because of pro-Palestine sentiments in Egypt? Yes, says Sisi's critics. They're pointing at the upcoming presidential election in Egypt, an election in which a pro-Palestine stance could help the country's president in winning. And next up, we have the UAE. It's not witnessing any protests, but just 2 days back, it was among the first states to blame Israel for the bombing of a Gaza hospital. It has even requested an emergency UN Security Council meeting over Israel's alleged actions. This is highly unusual for the Sheikhdom, given how it has normalized ties with Israel in 2020. Next, we have Jordan. 2 days back, it cancelled a summit between US President Joe Biden, Egyptian government officials and Palestinian leaders. The reason was the same: the alleged Israeli airstrike. Jordan's foreign minister, Eman Safadi, called it a massacre and accused Israel of pushing the region to the brink of the abyss. Next, we have Bahrain, another country which normalized ties with Israel after the 2020 Abraham Accords. It has also issued a statement against Israel expressing its condemnation and denunciation of what it called a quote-unquote Israeli bombing. What's worse are reports like these: an Indian-origin doctor getting fired from a hospital in Bahrain. Why? Because he posted anti-Palestine tweets. The doctor in question was an internal medicine specialist at the Bahrain Royal Hospital. It has sacked the doctor from his post for posting content that was considered offensive to Bahrain society. Now let's talk about Saudi Arabia. Last week, it reportedly put plans of normalization of ties with Israel on the back burner. It also apparently initiated a rapid rethinking of its foreign policy amid the war. What's even more striking is how Saudi engagements with Iran have amplified. Reports say the hotline between Tehran and Riyadh is still active. Next up, we have Syria. On October 18th, a US Army base came under attack in Syria. Reports say 2 drones were shot down, while a third reached its target. A US military base in eastern Syria's Tanf region. Listen to this statement now by the Pentagon's press secretary.
Early yesterday morning, Syria time, October 18th, the At-Tanf garrison in Syria was targeted by 2 drones. U.S. and coalition forces engaged one drone, destroying it, while the other drone impacted the base, resulting in minor injuries to coalition forces.
The same day when a U.S. base in Syria was attacked, there was another attack in Iraq. Reports say drones and rockets struck at least 2 military bases housing American troops. Multiple blasts were also reported at other U.S. Army bases in the country. There's more. Look at these visuals now. They're from Baghdad. They show hundreds of supporters of Iranian-backed paramilitary groups. They were seen leaving for Iraq's main border crossing with Jordan. What for? To show their solidarity with Gaza and to call for an end to the blockade imposed by Israel. Listen in.
We are going today to claim victory for our people in Palestine and the house of God, Jerusalem, and to answer the calls of the Shia leadership body, the people and Arabs. We call all the people and Arabs to unite to lift the blockade on the Mujahideen. We condemn the brutal Zionists, the Jews, and the biggest devil, America, as they target children, destroy homes, and displace families.
There are protests in Pakistan too. On Thursday, hundreds of people marched through Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. Some of them even draped American and Israeli flags on the road and trampled over them. Interestingly, a video from Pakistan is now going viral. It shows Pakistani citizens spilling Coca-Cola on the streets. Why? Because they thought that Coca-Cola was an Israeli brand. Then in the United Kingdom, pro-Palestinian activists are apparently plotting attacks on defense manufacturers. A Times UK report states that these activists are seeking ways to target a defense electronics firm called Elbit Systems. The firm is a subsidiary of an Israeli company. How will these activists target this firm? By smashing its offices with sledgehammers, they say. And lastly, as I speak, a summit is underway in Saudi Arabia, a summit of the Gulf Cooperation Council Association of Southeast Asian nations. It's being held in Riyadh. Speaking at the summit, a number of Gulf leaders called for a ceasefire in the ongoing war. They also stressed on the need for the entry of humanitarian aid to Gaza.
The only way to end a cycle of violence is through a lasting resolution to the conflict. And I think we in the GCC are very satisfied that our brothers in ASEAN have adopted a position that is very, very important and positive.
So from Saudi Arabia to the UAE, from Jordan to Syria, from Egypt to Pakistan, almost every Islamic country is condemning Israel's actions. As the citizens of these countries stage widespread protests, the question is, what will the next move be? What kind of steps, if any, are these countries thinking about? Only time will tell.